humans like to believe we see the world as it is, but we don't. Not even close. Right now, there are signals moving through this room, particles passing through your body, and forces shaping reality that you will never perceive. Not because they aren't there, and not because you weren't built to see them. And tonight, we'll start with a kangaroo in a denim diaper and end with the possibility that reality itself is mostly hidden. So, it's just another normal day. This is Sunny from Muse Media wishing one of our sponsors, Two Jack's Restaurants, an exceptional 42 years in operation and going strong. This is the Daily Dozen, 12 developments from around the world worthy of your information-hungry attention. So let's get to it. In a story that sounds completely made up, but isn't, residents in a Wisconsin community recently found themselves searching for an escaped kangaroo. Yeah, a kangaroo in Wisconsin. The animal named Chesney had escaped from a local petting zoo and was last seen hopping through the neighborhood wearing a denim diaper, which is not a sentence anyone plans to say in their lifetime, ever. Authorities and locals joined in the search, trying to track down the runaway marsupial, which had quickly become the most unusual missing resident in town. And eventually, Chesney was safely located, unharmed, and still dressed for the occasion. Somewhere out there is a kangaroo with a better wardrobe story than most of us. So, from a kangaroo that escaped to a plan that absolutely did not stay on Earth. In what sounds like something straight out of science fiction, Japan has proposed building a massive solar power ring around the moon, a continuous belt of solar panels capturing sunlight without clouds, without weather, and sending that energy right back to Earth. It's still in its conceptual forms, but if it works, we may solve our energy problems by leaving the planet entirely, which feels like a very human solution. Earth is complicated. Let's go power it from space, is the thought. But from a human looking up at the moon, I hate to see that view change. Back here on Earth, where things are slightly more complicated than solar rings, a newly introduced bill is raising some concerns by proposing restrictions on blood donations from individuals who have received the COVID-19 injections. Now, supporters call it a precaution, but major health organizations, including the Red Cross, say there's no evidence of risk, which places this squarely in that modern crossroads where science, policy, and public perception are not always reading from the same script. And speaking of being on the same page, or not, there's a phrase we use, we're on the same wavelength. Well, science suggests that may be more literal than we thought. Researchers found that close friends show strikingly similar brain activity when experiencing the same things. They wouldn't put it on the level of telepathy, but close enough to make you wonder who picked that movie and who just agreed with it. And if your brain can influence your perception, well, what about your body? Here's something unexpected but totally believable. Listening to Mozart may influence your gut bacteria. Yeah, the bacteria in your gut likes Mozart. Studies suggest music activates the brain, sending signals through the vagus nerve affecting the microbiome, which means somewhere out there, Mozart is quietly improving digestion, and honestly, that's probably not how he imagined his legacy to end. And if that connection feels deep, well, this next one goes even further. During pregnancy, the connection between a mother and a child is not one-directional. Fetal cells have been found traveling into the mother's body, targeting areas of injury, even embedding into the heart, helping repair damage, and in some cases staying there for decades, which means long after pregnancy, part of that connection may still remain quietly working. Isn't that incredibly awesome? And now from microscopic biology to cows doing something oddly intentional, scientists have confirmed something farmers suspected for years. Cows tend to align themselves with the Earth's magnetic field, facing north or south for no apparent reason. No instructions and no training, they just do it, which raises an uncomfortable possibility about cows Might they be better tuned to the planet than we are? And while cows are quietly aligning with Earth, humans are trying to eliminate waiting altogether. Japan has shattered internet speed records, reaching speeds so fast you could download the entire Netflix library in about 1 second. 319 terabits per second. Now, it's experimental, but it points to a future where buffering disappears, downloads vanish, and patience becomes a historical concept. From cutting-edge technology to something that feels like it came from another world entirely. A declassified CIA document is making waves again with a claim that reads like science fiction. During a Soviet operation, soldiers allegedly encountered an unknown craft, followed by an energy discharge of some kind that turned them into stone. Now, this wasn't a direct CIA investigation, more likely a translated report, possibly exaggerated misinterpretation or something else entirely. But still, someone thought it was worth writing it down, which may be the strangest part of all. And pillars of salt or Medusa is what comes to my mind. And if that feels unsettling, well, this next story has been sitting in the same place for over 3,000 years. At the Karnak temple in Egypt, inside a restricted chamber, stands a 3,400-year-old statue of Sekhmet. Visitors who have seen it describe the same experience, a presence. It's a pulling feeling, a feeling that the statue is not entirely inert. Ancient texts describe rituals meant to give statues breath and sight and awareness, and this one has never been moved, still in its original place, still affecting people. And from ancient mysteries to a more recent voice, Edward A. Dames, a controversial figure in remote viewing, has passed away. To some a pioneer, to others a skeptic's favorite target, but undeniably part of an era where intelligence work and the unexplained shared the same conversation, a reminder that not everything we explore fits neatly into categories. Some called him a fake, some called him a near prophet, but Edward, you'll be missed. And that brings us to something a little closer to home. Humans experience reality through a very narrow window. We see only a fraction of light, hear only a slice of sound, while invisible forces move through us constantly. Neutrinos, radiation, and entire spectrums of energy that are unseen. And beyond that, scientists estimate that 95% of the universe is made of things we cannot directly detect. So what we call reality may only be a fraction of what is actually there. And maybe when something feels a little off or strange, unexplainable, different, it's not that something appeared, it's that for a moment we noticed more than we were supposed to. 12 stories, one world, and far more beneath the surface than we realize. Now, before we close tonight, a quick introduction. We're welcoming a new voice to the Nite Muse Media Network, David Twitchell, host of We Are Not Alone, which will air on the first Monday of each month. Born in Detroit in 1948, David's interest in the unexplained began early following a close encounter sighting in 1962. He later served in the United States Army and has spent decades studying UFO phenomena, abduction reports, and psychic experiences. He is currently a field investigator, newsletter editor, and public relations officer for Michigan MUFON, and the author of multiple books exploring the broader implications of UFO encounters. David has appeared on numerous media platforms and hosted his own television program, also entitled We Are Not Alone. Now joining the Nite Muse Network, bringing decades of research and perspective to the conversation. So be watching for his first broadcast. Follow the signals, question the noise, and I'll see you on the night side.